little sidetrack. I know that you talked about this in the past, and this is not to get a debate going or anything like that. I just want to hear what your position is because actually Neil and I had a really long conversation about this. So I'm just curious what your thoughts were because I know you touched on this a long time ago. What's your take on Bitcoin? Do you think that it's an abstraction of something that should be kind of in the physical realm?
I don't. It's weird because I don't. When I think about the Bitcoin as a kind of symbolic thing, a symbolic structure, to be honest, I don't completely understand what it is and what it's doing. Uh, I do, though, in terms of power, I do see it as something that's quite dangerous. That is, in the sense that, okay, so if you think about our situation right now, so now we have these elites. We don't actually. It turns out, I guess, with the Epstein stuff, and you've known this, like we don't totally know who these elites, who all of them are, but we kind of basically know at least the ones that are visible. And although there's a lot of trash, we still have roads and things are still kind of functioning, like they're still kind of working. One of the problems when I hear people say we need to move to Bitcoin and move away from money is that we don't know who has the Bitcoin. Right? We don't. It's a secret. Like there's a secret elite that holds this money, and if we move more towards Bitcoin, it means that at some point the power structure will be revealed, a new power structure that we don't even know what it is. We don't even know who it is that holds this amount, these monies. And so I think that in that sense, that's what I think is dangerous because in a in a normal world, the currency is given by the king or by the authority, right? So it's like the authority will guarantee its value with a stamp of the king, literally on the or the emperor on the coin, right? And so this is in some ways a sense in which we know where this value comes from, we know who's guaranteeing it, and it is kind of running through our world. But Bitcoin, we don't know. It's a secret. There's a secret group that we don't know who actually created it. We kind of have theories about that. We know that it's related possibly to secret to like government agencies. I know that the people that developed the Bitcoin then ended up working with the government to develop their kind of digital currency. And so all of that kind of stuff is making me suspicious about it. I have some Bitcoin. I don't have a lot. I have some. And I understand how people see it as a kind of freedom and a kind of power that isn't under the state, but it also means that it hides a kind of secret power that we don't know what it is. I know if you've thought about it in those terms.
Yeah, it's a whole issue, and I didn't mean to go down that sidetrack. I have some thoughts on all that, but again, I didn't mean this to be like a Bitcoin discussion, but I think the response to that would be, from the vantage point of if you look at like Saifedean Amos's book on it. And I think Jordan did a podcast with him or two in the past. I think even on Bitcoin, but he makes a great point that one reason that you would want to remove the money printing power from the state is because the state has the tendency to centralize it and to use the temptation to print it into oblivion when the state needs money. So the idea there is just simply against the sort of Keynesian principle of infinite money expansion, which deflates, right,
Yeah, I
the
agree.
purchasing the excuse me, inflates the purchasing power. The other thing too is that Bitcoin isn't really private; it's semi-private. So the largest wallets are all public. It is
Hmm.
true that we don't know who has the Satoshi wallet, but most of the other large wallets, it's pretty clear that people know that it's BlackRock, it's Michael Saylor, it's some other big companies. But the other thing too is that the way the Bitcoin's decentralization network is set up, with all of the nodes and with the way the protocol works in terms of changing the protocol, you can't change the protocol unless you get the majority of the nodes to run a different system or a different protocol or a change. So it's really difficult to get that. And that's a feature and it's not a bug. And so that means that one person or one entity, even if they were to dump all of their Bitcoin, which there would not really be an incentive to do so as it continues to go up in value, they can't really destroy the market or manipulate it in some massive way. They could affect it perhaps a little bit if BlackRock dumped a bunch, it would definitely
Yeah.
hurt the price. But the point being is that even the system was set up such that having a bunch of Bitcoin still doesn't allow you to change the network, and it's still only semi-private. So um, that's my response to those specific
Yeah, yeah.
objections.
I
But
mean, I think I'm definitely attracted to the decentralization question aspect of Bitcoin for sure, and I agree with most of the points you made. I tend to be pretty black pilled on the question of money. Which is that when someone tells me that the U.S. currency isn't backed by anything, my tendency is to think that it's actually backed by weapons. That's what backs the U.S. currency.
No, you're
It's not
absolutely right.
gold. That's what makes the U.S. dollar valuable, is how, is actually guns. So that's why I'm also kind of cynical about Bitcoin, in the sense, at least in the idea that Bitcoin would replace the monetary system, is that the monetary system is actually run by weapons. And so it can always be an alternative to, let's say, state run systems, but in the end, the real power is there. So